Everyone has two lives, and your second one starts when you find out you only have one.
Ooh.
I do believe that I have started in the last year, 2 years, 3 years that, you know what? I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm not going to have any regrets in my career or choices I've made. It is what it is. It's in the past now. I can only build on new experiences from here on out. So if I spend my entire career in the USL, I'm happy with that because I feel that I'm giving everything that I have. If I am fortunate enough to go back to MLS, I'm going to put everything I have into that basket. So
Wondolowski can't get it. Ketterer comes up big. Makes have a corner.
Ketterer just holds his ground, and Chris Wondolowski doesn't get a lot of power on this one. Opts to go with the inside of his right foot, choosing to really look to.
What's your best advice that you could give parents, players, anybody who is anywhere in life, whether it's business, coaching, whatever, they feel stuck?
the lower the lows, the higher the highs that you can have. If you don't have any lows, you're never really going to have much highs. If I'm a math numbers guy. If your days are always right around here, boring, nothing's drastic. If you don't have the lows, you'll never feel the excitement, the energy, the rush of the super high highs. So it's going to end. Your misery, whatever, the struggles are going to stop, and hopefully you've learned something from it that you can use to push yourself forward and find those higher highs.
It's that 1% we're looking for, that Sam and I are looking for, to get you out of your comfort zone.
But darling, on my mind, I'm feeling so fly up in the zone now. I'm like a golden crown, whirling high up in the sky. Oh, it's the way you make me feel so good right now. It's the way you make me feel so good.
So Logan and I met through Camp Shutout owner Stan Anderson, who is an awesome person. If you guys don't know about Camp Shutout, highly recommend going. I had the privilege and opportunity to be a guest coach last year, and they brought me in, and it's a week of amazing fun, a lot of reps, and getting to meet some fantastic coaches and players as well. A lot of talent there. What is it, 300 goalkeepers or something crazy like that, if I remember right?
Yeah, it was up there. I was a staff member when it was about 300. I was a staff camper when I was maybe 200, 250. It's a ton of goalkeepers. It's a fantastic week, 2-3 sessions a day. Great time. Awesome. Stan's a great guy, but I'm glad we got to meet up through him.
Yeah. And you are from Wisconsin, is that right?
Yep.
What part of Wisconsin?
5 minutes from Stan. Southeast Racine, Wisconsin, right near Milwaukee. So grew up FC Milwaukee Nationals and some local clubs there, but just outside the realm of Chicago Fire.
Yes, a very special realm. Now, your guys are about Racine's, if I remember right, an hour and a half outside Chicago, north of Chicago. Is that right?
Yeah. It's about an hour and a half north of Chicago. So close. Was able to get some games when I was a kid. Grew up with season tickets to the Fire games and stuff. So that was fun seeing Cuauhtemoc Blanco and all these other guys. But
did you get to see Bushy, John Bush?
I actually did. Yeah, I remember him a little bit. And then he went to Columbus and stuff. So no, it was great.
Yeah, because you guys are kind of torn between two great clubs there. Because Columbus is how many hours? 2-3 hours from you guys?
Oh no, it's well, if just because of Lake Michigan, it's like a 7-hour drive.
Got
so you
it.
have to go down and around through Chicago and then east. So it takes a little longer, but it's not actually that far.
Not too bad. It's a beautiful area. When we were out there last year, Stan took us and we went to the lighthouse right there in downtown Racine. He gave us the famous Stan Anderson downtown Racine tour. very cool what
Yeah.
he's doing with this Venmo challenge, because a lot of those
Yeah.
restaurants he told us the history of. Now, if you guys don't know about this, Stan Anderson and his family have started the Venmo Racine Challenge. Is that right? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
he
think so.
labeled it?
Yeah, I think that's the name
And
of it. Yeah.
they've raised over, I believe, $60,000, and they've been surprising small businesses with a couple thousand or 5,000, 3,000 here and there. It's really cool what they're doing to help small businesses out. I was chatting with you on the phone after we met, and I asked you to tell a little bit of your story, and you launched, and I loved every part of it. And I told you I want to name the talk Bet on You because you're good enough. And that's one of the biggest lessons you were telling me that you've learned through a lot of trials that you've had to overcome, and you're not where you want to be, but you've come a long way. And I just wanted you to share, where were you before you were pro and before college and so forth, and just talk a little bit about that journey to where you are now and the lessons that you've learned overcoming those hurdles that you've come across in life. So you grew up in Racine, played in a local club. Talk to me about the recruiting process. I mean, did they just pick you right out of a batch, or did you have to work like a part-time job to get that offer to go to school?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's kind of a long story. I grew up playing for my dad and his club. We were Racine Spartans. We were a small, I think we played in A, as CBA first Premier. We were in A or something. I was a field player for a long time.
What
I
position?
didn't start playing center back or forward.
Okay. Seems to be a common theme for most goalkeepers. That's why I asked.
Probably,
most
yeah.
of
You
them
don't
are
really
forwards.
ever see like a number 10 like switch over to
Not too often.
put throwing the mitts on. But my dad didn't want me to play goalie. Maybe that's what drove me to go play goalie. I don't know, but he's like, "You're too good to just stand in goal." So I was like, "All right." So I was about 12 or 13. I went to camp shutout. I really liked playing goalkeeper. It was a lot of fun. I just wanted to dive around. I wanted to, I liked the pressure. I was fine with it. I played point guard as basketball, so I didn't have an issue with, having eyes on you and pressure and, turnovers and mistakes and all those things. Played high school. I was small. I was like 5'7", 110 pounds. Like I was skinny. I was short. I was not, not what you should throw in as a goalie. But
Right.
My high school coach, took a chance on me. I made varsity, won the job over after a few games, and then stayed the starter for my 4 years there in high school. It's a pretty small high school, but we were a very talented Division III team.
So you were NCAA Division III or the
it's
high school?
It's a high school still.
Okay.
This is a high school Division III, so
okay.
it was small schools. And then I started to grow, started to get a little bit bigger. I was still super skinny, but I, over the next year I was 6'1", and then I was 6'3", but I was a junior or senior, and had really good statistics. I had like 50 shutouts out of 85 games in high school. So I had good stats, but I couldn't quite get any knocks for recruiting and things. I had small connections here and there, Wright State, Milwaukee, Madison.
What were you doing? What were you doing to get recruited? Was it, you're, if I remember right, you're 28, 29? 27. So NCSA was around at this time. It was just getting started, which is the online college recruiting profile. Were you using NCSA to get recruited and messaging coaches?
I don't remember. I did use a program. I'm pretty sure it is NCSA. I had a video, got a couple links through there, had plenty of emails and contacts. I went to a bunch of college combines, one summer. My dad and I just drove around everywhere doing these different combines everywhere we could, just trying to get an opportunity. And, but I was skinny and nothing was working out. So I think it's the summer before my senior year in high school. I go to camp shutout and 300 goalkeepers there. I'm in the top group. So I'm top 10, 12 of boys, and I'm doing well and I'm playing really well. And then I'm captain. We do this big team keeper wars tournament. So, groups of 5 or 6 play everybody else in the camp, and my team won it. And we won the entire tournament. And there was a college coach there from Bradley University. And he saw me, contacted me, said, hey, we're interested, come take a look at our school. Went there for an unofficial visit, went back for an official, and I ended up signing there a few weeks later. I was
That's
not
awesome.
on money. I knew I was walking on, not a walk on. I knew I had a spot, but I was not on money. The best thing I could do was get academic scholarships. I had good grades. I studied hard for my ACT. I was able to, save some money that way, but I knew I wasn't going to play right away. I was probably going to redshirt because the starter there had some trials with the Chicago Fire, was borderline, should have been drafted, but he kind of gained a little bit of weight and made things difficult for himself. But I knew I was going to sit for a little while.
Right.
And that was a little hard for me because I went from playing 85 games in high school. There's 20 some games. There's 4 or 5 playoff games every year. So I played virtually every game for the last 4 years. And then I knew I was going to go sit for at least 2 because that's how many years of eligibility he had left.
Wow.
So,
what did you do? So this is division what? What division?
This was Division 1.
Division 1 NCAA.
Division 1. Yep.
And what conference were you part of?
Missouri Valley Conference.
Missouri Valley. Okay.
So we played Creighton, Drake, Missouri State, Evansville. Creighton left a year or 2 into my time there. They joined a different conference, but some good teams, good players,
right.
Definitely.
So what's going through your head when this going in, but then when the reality sets in, because I don't know about you, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you probably went in with this mentality like most of us. We're winners. We embrace perseverance as goalkeepers. It's just in our DNA. But you probably went into preseason going, I'm going to earn that spot. I'm going to prove myself. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I was told I was not going to play and I was going to redshirt. And that was fine. I thought I was maybe higher on the pecking order than I was. But I worked hard, I kept my head down, and I passed all the fitness tests every year. I, did all the work that I could, made sure I studied hard. But I was just not going to play over this guy. This guy was bigger, stronger, has been playing for a long time. He was a starter there since he was a freshman. Like, I get it. Like, I can see why I'm not playing, but it's still difficult to sit for, 2 some years.
How did you stay hungry?
The best thing I could do was in college athletics, you hit the weight room and you have a short season that's 2 months long, and then you hit the weight room hard for, 5-6 months. So I started to get a little bigger, a little stronger. I was still skinny. I mean, I think I went in there about 6'3", 150, 155. I think when I left college, I was about close to 180, 175. So gained about 20, 25 pounds. But I was not a mature, I didn't look like I was big, strong. I was a twig, my arms were there. Like, it wasn't like muscle weight. It was just like, that's as heavy as you're going to be without either being obese or muscular. So,
right.
But it was a lot. I need to adjust to the level. Honestly, I played academy in club my junior and senior year. So I was with FC Milwaukee. We were playing Columbus Crew, playing Chicago Fire, playing Minnesota Thunder Academy, and all these other teams.
For those who don't understand what that is, can you explain a little bit of what that is?
Yeah, Academy League is basically all the MLS teams have academy teams. So Columbus Crew, this is their top team. These are their top youngsters who they're looking to either sign homegrown deals with the MLS team or, whatever. So these are, at the time, this was the best of the best of 16, 18-year-olds.
Right.
But there is a huge difference between the best 18-year-olds and now men in college that are 22, 23 years old. You can be as talented as you want on the ball, but it is way more physical. It is way more, everything about it is a completely different game. And especially in the MVC, it was a bruiser of a league. It is crosses, set pieces, breakaways. You are hitting somebody every single game. Like, it is not meant for, the weekend that can't handle it. So it was an adjustment period for me to get to that point where I'm like, you know what, I gotta go blow this play up, however it happens, whether it's punching, catching, whatever. So it was certainly a lot of adjustments that I needed to make in those 2 years before I started to play.
Yeah. When you went and you were like, hey, I'm going to hit the gym, did you seek out your strength coach? Were you studying on your own? What were you doing to get the knowledge to help you put on that the muscle weight that you needed to look more fitter and be able to honestly take those hits in games?
Yeah, we had a good strength coach. Cody Roberts, he was great for us. He worked with the men's basketball team. We didn't have a football program at our college. So he worked with men's basketball and soccer and all the other sports. And it was, it's benching, it's squatting, it's core and corrective, obviously to balance out issues that you have. My hips are always bad. My shoulders aren't great, but it was just, kind of hitting the big weight exercises to start, even if you just feel a little more confident in yourself. And this is kind of where my journey started to make improvements, where I started to feel more confident when I felt that I was stronger. It didn't matter if I was 5 pounds more or not. If I felt like I'm strong, then I played better. And that's, I went through a good phase in college where I started to get really confident in my play and everything, where I'm put on weight. I was, joking with guys. Me and a buddy were trying to race to see who was going to weigh 180 first. Like, we were both skinny twigs. And we're like, all right, we're going to join the 180 club. I think technically I did, but we used to weigh in with shoes on every day. So it was kind of like, you weren't really sure. Like, I think I might have accused him of throwing like stones in his shoes one day, because I don't think he actually hit 180. But no, but it was good. Yeah, I mean, we had to just start hitting the bigger exercises that kind of make you feel a little better about yourself. Right.
And it's just, sometimes you have to create that own, your own pathway, right? Things, I'm a shorter goalkeeper, so I had to learn to jump high, and I had to play in my strengths, but I had to fine tune my weaknesses. Yours was your body weight. You had to learn how to gain weight, but gain healthy weight and put on good muscle so you could perform and take those hits. No one person is the same, and you just, success isn't easy. It's an uphill battle, but worth it. So you're D1, you've put on the weight. How's the next 2 years look for your playing at Division I?
Yeah, so I'm going into my junior year, redshirt sophomore, athletically. Still to back up a different guy who was a year older than me. Started the year with the spot. We lose a couple games. We're on the road. We play San Diego State, and we lose 5-2.
Oh, wow.
Not a good game.
That's a game you forget about college, real quick.
Yeah. So this is college. So, you play Friday, Sunday. Saturday, coach calls me and says, hey, you're going to start Sunday, Cal State, Berkeley, good team. Not ranked at the time, but they were a good team. And we go Sunday, the game starts, and it is 110 at kickoff. It is hot. And we're from the Midwest. You get 80 and humid, and you're like, ooh, this is tough. 110
I didn't even know
heat.
California could do that. Jeez.
It was toasty.
And that's dry.
That's my first game.
That's dry heat too.
Yeah. So that's my first game. Actually played really well. It's we ended up losing 1-0 in double overtime, but I had maybe 10, 12 saves. Really good performance, confident, had a couple big punches, almost had an assist in that game. And I took the spot from there. And that was big for me, because I'd known I could play for a while. I just kind of needed that chance. I had to be patient. The head coach, he talked to me after I graduated, and he's like, I kept expecting you to come into my office and ask, why am I not playing? Why am I not playing? But you never did. And because I was patient, I was like, I knew when I get my chance, I'm going to take it. And I didn't want to be the guy that's annoying to the point where, you don't want to have those conversations with the coach anymore. Like, I didn't want to get to that point where he's like, all right, I just can't deal with, like, okay, I'll talk to you later.
Right.
So I was just patient, and I waited, and I got my chance, and I took it from there. And I was able to play almost 3 full seasons as a starter.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've seen that a lot coaching in my first year of college too, is a lot of people are like, well, why am I not playing? But what do I need to do? What about this? What about that? I didn't see the minutes I wanted to see, why? So I know you didn't want to be the annoying kid, but
Mhm.
what kept you patient? Because I know you had to have been thinking that at times.
Oh yeah.
Watching a 5-2 loss and other losses, there gets to a point, I don't know about you, but for me, I remember sitting on the bench in different parts of my career, seeing that happen like, oh my gosh, I could play so much better than that. I knew what to do, when to do it, why to do it. What, how did you get through that?
Yeah, I felt that because college athletics is so much like, okay, man, it's a brotherhood. It's family. So you don't want to step on anybody's toes and make them think that, you know, now we've got problems. Me and the other goalkeeper, we got along really well. And he
Right.
was there for 2 years while I was a starter. And we were good friends. We hung out, and it I felt that it needed to be a natural progression.
Right.
So it needed to come along naturally. Like you can't force it. If I'm knocking on coach's door, hey, put me in, and I play, and he didn't really do anything wrong. Well, now he feels wronged about it, and maybe I don't feel that maybe I didn't deserve it yet, and it can just cause more issues than it's really worth. And when okay, we lost a few games, but they're non-conference. It wasn't like this is the end of the world, but by having it naturally happen, now all the guys were, they were supportive of me as well. It wasn't that I went and knocked on coach's door and they played me because I complained. It was, okay, you know what? It's his shot now. It's up to him to earn it and keep it. So I
Right.
think that was the best thing that I could have done. And at the time it felt right. And I'm really glad that that's how everything turned out. And obviously, hey, if I lost the spot, if I didn't play well, if I didn't keep it, that's on me. But like the title of the episode is, I was willing to bet on myself whenever I got that chance, and I just need to wait for that chance.
Yeah. Patience is so important, and it's never easy. And I'm sure at times you were still impatient internally.
Oh
Was
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certain. I mean, as we're losing a couple games where we think maybe we could have won, or we had a couple good teams come to town, and we lose those games, I'm feeling like, man, I want to play, but until that decision is made, the game's over. I can't
Right.
go back and change any game. So there's no point in dwelling on it, or, oh, we should have won that. That's not how it was, and that's not how it should be either. You just kind of have to wait for your chance. And there are points later in my career where I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait anymore, and I am going to go, do something else, and I need to make something happen for myself. So there's times where you need to just be patient. There's times where you need to go, do what you need to do.
Yeah. And I live by this. It's my favorite quotes by Napoleon Hill. And it says, in every adversity, there is a seed of equal or greater benefit if you look for it. And the key is if you look for it. And I know I spent half of my high school with my high school team. We were really good. We were top 5 in the state of the large schools. I mean, we had 3 girls on the national team,
Wow.
among other things. And I mean, they weren't the full team. They were there, but they were at camp every year since they were like 13, 14. One was already playing semi-pro at 15 years old, which at that time was the only professional league for the women's side. So she's playing alongside Olympians at 15 and 16. We were an amazing team. And
Yeah.
I remember being out there, and I had a basketball center who was 6'4", never played a game, didn't play travel. And here I am. This is pre-CNL days, early 2000s, when ODP was like a big deal. I'm ranked number 1 in
Mhm.
the state in my age group for goalkeepers, and she's playing over me. And I remember riding the bench, and I'd always start the preseason, do great, perform great. If we went into like any interconference tournaments, I was always getting clean sheet after clean sheet. And as soon as she got done with her varsity basketball season, I rode the bench. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, I hated it. I had a chip on my shoulder for years, until about 5, maybe 7 years into my coaching career. And I realized I was a better coach, but I was also a better player, because I was forced to sit on the bench and watch the game from the sideline without having to deal with the on-field pressures. And I
Mhm.
learned my biggest strength was I learned to study the game from the sidelines. And I was able to, when I got into goal, perform better because I had seen plays form up so many times. I knew how to be more strategic and tell my players where to be and when to be there. And I understood why I was telling them that, which only translated over into coaching, you know. Would you say similar things happen to you and it's translated? I mean, we'll get into your pro route, but has it translated, jumping ahead here a little bit, did it translate into the pro? Did you have a similar kind of learning experience when you were on the sidelines?
Yeah, I would say in college I did.
Right.
We did an interesting in our college. If you were on the bench, you did not sit down. You stood
We're
the
the
entire
same
game.
at the
And
university I'm
it
at.
was, hey, as early on your freshman year, like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. Like, and then once you kind of realize, like, it's to keep you involved in the game.
Right.
It's to let your team, okay, if you're on the road, well, we have a team of 30 guys come on the road. Well, now you've got 20 in your fan section. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got 11 on the field. Now you've got 20 guys cheering you on all the time who are standing and engaged in the game. So, there's multiple reasons to it. And it was actually really good. I definitely learned some things and just how sometimes you used to be overly aggressive in the college game. Certainly the lesson you're applied a lot more for me. And once I reached the professional ranks and in Columbus, that was a much different learning experience for me than I would say the college one.
Right. So coming out of this, you finish your senior year. What is senior year? You're playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
Finished my season. We went 2-15-3. So
oh my gosh.
that was my fifth year. I was one of two super seniors. So pretty disappointing way to kind of end your college career on what I thought was going to be my last game. Obviously I had aspirations to be a pro. Nothing, we were bad. We couldn't score goals. Nothing worked out. So, my season ends, we get knocked out first round of the tournament. And I start applying to go do USL open tryouts. I went to Louisville, did an open tryout, nothing there. They said I can't play in USL. I went to St. Louis FC, made to the second day, nothing happened. Went to Chicago Fire's open tryout, nothing happened. I put up a 10-foot, 8-inch broad jump, and which was 8 inches higher than the next highest broad jump at this pro combine. And, I get nothing from it. So I'm like, all right, I spent some money, drove around, traveled, did the tryout thing. I had completed the undergraduate side of my accounting degree, and I was kind of working towards to get 150 hours to sit for a CPA. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to finish my last semester, get 150 hours. It's kind of like a graduate program, but not really. So I went back to college and I was just going to finish my semester. I picked up my books, never got invited to the MLS Pro Combine. I felt that was better than some of those goalkeepers, but nothing happened. And then picked up my books, watched the first and second round, nothing happens. It was split back then. So first and second round happens, no draft pick, fine. I'm sitting watching the third and fourth round. I just picked up my books for the next semester. I was already back at college in my college house, ready to go. And I'm seeing, third round goes through, picks start passing, teams start passing like 4 or 5 picks, near the bottom of the third round, the teams are now passing. I'm like, well, this is pretty much over.
Right.
If teams are passing already. Fourth round, 5th pick, I see my name pop up because it was all online. It's just a website. There's no live stream. There's nothing. I see my name pop up. I'm like, what is that? I hit refresh, disappears. It goes back like 4 lines. So now it's at like 4th round, 1st pick. I'm like, am I going crazy? Did I just I'm losing my mind. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just mashing the refresh button. And then I see it come up again and it stays up there and it's Columbus Crew 4th round, 5th pick. And I call my dad. I'm like, I think I just got drafted.
Wow.
And he's like, what? And so
nobody's expecting this.
I'm freaking out. And I see a call come through on my phone that says something from Columbus, Ohio. I'm like, Dad, I think I got to go. I'll talk to you later. Hang that up. And it's Greg Berhalter, who's now the U.S. national team coach. He's a coach of Columbus Crew. He says, hey, Logan, this is Greg. I just drafted you. I'm gonna hang up quick because we got to get a lot of stuff rolling here. Really happy to have you, draft you part of the team. I'm gonna hang up. We're gonna get you on with Pat. He's the goalkeeper coach. He hangs up. Pat calls me. Hey, we heard a little bit from you. I think there was a little connection with Stan maybe talking to him and John Bush talking to him a little bit. And they called my coach the day before, but they weren't really sure how everything shook out, if they were going to draft me or not. So they didn't really want to say this is going to happen, but hey, we're going to give you a shot. You're not signed yet, but you get to come to preseason and we'll figure things out. Wow. And he's like, I got to hang up because the team coordinator is going to call you. You need to get a passport because we're going to Brazil in 6 days. So I was like,
did you have a passport already?
I had a passport. Yeah,
okay.
I was good on that front, but I had to get all my pictures sent because they have to apply for a visa because I had to get a visa for Brazil. We were there for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And that was basically my tryout period.
Wow. Well, I mean, what a great place to try out.
Yeah. It was an incredible, it was a real hectic. I had 3 days before I flew out to Columbus. I had to pack up my house, return my books, give those back to the front office.
Did they give you your whole money back? You know how it goes in college.
I did not get charged for that semester. So that was good. I was able to retroactively apply for my graduation. So I still had never had a graduation, but
seriously?
Yeah. I mean, I have my degree, but
you never walked.
I was in a hotel on a road trip to Toronto when our graduation was. So I'm way better off here than I am walking across some stage.
Falling asleep during a ceremony, listen to a long speech or two.
Yeah. So it was 3 weeks in Brazil. They changed up the diet. We did no carbs, which was harsh for me. I called my dad after 4 or 5 days in Brazil, and he's like, you sound sick. I was coughing, sneezing. My body felt terrible. I was achy. I felt like I had a fever.
Were they just trying to get you to go more of a keto diet to get into ketosis?
Yeah, it's basically a keto diet. It's just a lot of fat and protein.
Oh, wow.
And once I got to day 7 in that diet, I felt incredible.
Wow.
But it was such, I'm I'm here. I don't have a contract. I'm in Brazil. I don't feel I'm playing my best.
Right.
And now I'm sick. This could not be worse.
In the middle of preseason.
In the middle of preseason with MLS, and I just got told that I can't play in the USL from open tryouts. So I'm like, what is going on?
And now I jumped up a stage. This is my one shot.
So and then all of a sudden I start feeling way better. It was an incredible switch that happened. And you're having 2-3 sessions a day and you're just totally fine. And you're like,
right.
This doesn't make any sense. And obviously it's easy when they're catering for every single meal. I can eat whatever they put down. Well, that's fine.
Right.
But I finished the Brazil camp. We get 2 days off. I go home to Wisconsin, lay low, recover a little bit. And we go back to Columbus. And before our first training session in Columbus, they said, hey, we're going to sign you for a contract this year. And there was only 3 of us. So it was Zach Steffen, who's the number 1 for the US right now.
Right.
Brad Stuver, who is the number 1 for Austin FC right now, and me.
Wow.
So
that's quite the
lineup. Who's in the MLS, who had an MLS career and is one of the best goalkeeper coaches I've ever met.
Let's just comment on Pat Onstead. Pat Onstead, little history. I was telling you about this. 2012, got a random phone call. He found out about me and the Richmond Goalkeeping Academy randomly when he was at DC United. Get a random call. He invites just me up. And I go, hey, can I bring some goalkeepers? And we showed up with about 65 people and 30 of them were goalkeepers. And he was just like, what? Wow. And, it was awesome. But I found out while I was there, I don't know if you knew this, but I was told, okay, I may not have all of this right, but I was told that when he signed with DC United as a coach, that if all the keepers went down, he had a contract that he would come back as the backup goalkeeper. Is this fact?
I think he played in 2 games that season.
Right.
I remember him talking about it. I think so. I think it was 2012. I remember him talking about his time when he was player coach in DC.
The dude had gray hair.
Whether he suited up.
What was he? 45
I think he started his MLS
there?
career at 37 or something, or 38. So it's never too old. But
he should have the header on every contract. The legend.
He's an incredible guy, and I learned so much from him in those 2 years at Columbus. But
wow. Do you think that helped you? Do you think that helped you a lot?
Absolutely.
What would you say college, the biggest thing was? The biggest mental switch or life switch or on-field switch?
It was just, you belong. It was that simple. It was, hey, if you feel like you don't belong, you're right. And if you feel like you do, you're right.
Wow. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about it, because I know some pros that are struggling with that, where they don't feel like they belong around, and even college players, they don't feel like they belong. And I'm huge. I've always told people and other coaches, and I'm sure you can agree, and I made mention to you of this, the goalkeeper coach, goalkeeper player relationship is sacred. It is special. It is really very special. And your mentors, you don't have 5 million of them. There's 5 or less, and they all have a common theme. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship with Pat Onstead some more?
Yeah, absolutely. When I showed up, okay, I went from, we lumped it long in college. You kick everything long. Do not play the center backs, even if he's got 20 yards of space. You kick it long. We'll win the second ball. We'll try to go score. Come to Columbus, we don't kick the ball long. You pass everything.
Right.
There are select few emergency situations where, okay, my emergency ball is put it on the outside back's head. He'll bump it up the line and we'll play. So it was a huge switch for me going from that. And I was good with my feet in college. Like I was fine with, trying to play, or, I was clean technically and everything, but I did not have the mentality of, okay, jam it into a 6, who's going to bounce it out to an outside back. Like that was not part of our game.
Right.
So I had a lot of changes that I had to make, both mentally on how I played the game, but also, physically. Shots are now coming extremely fast when you have guys like Giassi Zardes and Federico Higuain and all these other guys who are ripping shots at you, and you were just taking shots from Division I college or open tryouts in USL. Like that's not
night and day difference.
Yeah. So, I spent a lot of time with Pat. We spent time after training just cleaning up things with technique. But, one of the things he told me was like, you belong if you believe you belong. So, he's like, there's probably looking at it, it's a hard situation. Like you've got a guy who's 2 years younger than you, whose career is way up here compared to where yours was. Like I just got done playing college soccer, and he's a year and a half away from getting signed to Manchester City. And then you've got Brad Suver, who was in the league, who was MLS League pool. I think that was his like 6th year pro at that point, and then been a few at Columbus already. So, these are established guys, and I'm just the third string coming in. And I think my first year was just being a lot of a sponge, just trying to take in as much as I could. Any tips, tricks, trying to understand things. At first, I felt like I'm just there trying to react to everything.
Right.
And if being a goalkeeper, you cannot just react.
No.
Like, that there's you can be a good goalkeeper if you react, but if you want to be great, you have to anticipate, plan, and organize. And at first I was just happy to be there, reacting. And I was lucky to get signed again the second year. But that year I made a big switch because Brad went to New York City. They brought in another goalkeeper, John Kempen. He's at DC now, but he was an 8-year pro. He signed a homegrown deal at like 17 or something. So he played with Kansas City. He played with under Melia. He went to Galaxy, was the starter for Galaxy for a while. Wow. He'd been on loan to a couple places. But I was like, I need to start proving that I belong here. And I came into that preseason with a lot more intensity and personality. And that was kind of one of the things that Pat told me. He's like, you look like a different person. Physically, I wasn't any different. I was the same weight. I was 6'3", 170, maybe 165. I lost a little bit of that college weight. That was kind of just the meathead weight. But he's like, you look different. Like you look calm, a little more organized, more intense when you need to be. And I was able to earn the backup spot obviously I'm not the spot over Zach, but I was able to earn the backup spot because that's all I could really fight for at the time. And I earned that spot for about a month and a half, 2 months through preseason and into the first few games of the season. But it was kind of a mental shift for me. Like, all right, if I want to make this a career, if I want to be a professional, I need to start fighting for it a little more. I can't be a sponge my whole career and expect to stick around, so it was kind of a big switch.
Got to apply what you're learning, and not
Exactly.
once, not twice, consistently all the time.
Yeah.
That's huge. So, I think a lot of people, you learn, you're absorbing, but I feel like all of us at some point in our careers, whether it's coaching or business, life, college game, high school game, even for the parents that listen, you come to this fork in a road, and it's this question that lingers in your mind privately that you entertain. And am I good enough? Do I know enough to apply this and get those results? And then I think that second thought that comes is, oh, what if I fail? What were the thoughts? What when you were going through this phase, what were those thoughts that you were experiencing in your head? And what did you do next?
Yeah, it was interesting. So, and I think this helped me, honestly. There were some contract issues that I had found out about. They told me that they were going to re-sign me between year 1 and year 2.
Oh, wow.
I knew that I was turning 25 in year 2, and that would not make me eligible to be a reserve rookie contract. So there's layers in the MLS. There's senior rosters 1 through 20. There's supplemental 21 through 24, and 25 to 28 is reserve contracts. So you have to be under 25 to sign a reserve contract.
Oh, wow.
I knew I was turning 25. So I'm like, they told me I'm back. Am I in a senior spot? Am I in a reserve spot? Are they going to get in trouble? So I knew that my job was kind of up in the air. I'm like, I need to prove that I need to stay here. I need to prove that I can fight for this position. And that kind of gave me a little bit of extra motivation to be like, I've got to go out and show myself every single day.
Wow.
And, I was like, if I don't, at the end of preseason, they could cut me. I didn't have an agent at the time. So, because I just got drafted out of high school or college. So I was like, I
don't have time for that.
Backup plan. I have no backup plan. I have an accounting degree. So I do have a backup plan for after soccer, but
you're doing all your teammates' taxes in the meantime, right?
Yeah. I'm giving advice about TurboTax. Yeah. No. So, I had no soccer backup plan. I need to make this happen. And luckily I think it kind of pushed me in the right direction. But, I also didn't want to be the guy that you get drafted and then you get cut. I wanted to prove, okay, at least they wanted me back. It wasn't an emergency Band-Aid that they put on their goalkeeper situation.
Right.
I wanted to be, okay, you know what? I signed at least another contract. They liked enough of what they saw of me that they wanted to bring me back another year.
Right.
So that was kind of a personal thing for me. I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that is in MLS for 1 year, gets out, and whether I play, USL or anything else, that's it.
Right.
I wanted to prove that at least I can sign another contract. Like I showed something that they liked. So that was the personal side for me that I really felt like I needed to show.
So it was almost like a fear, but it's at the same time in a more positive way. I'm not going to lose. I'm not.
Yeah.
I appreciate. I have gratitude for what I have, and I'm not going to waste it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Keeping that positive attitude is so. When things aren't going your way, it's so important, and it's never easy. It sounds easy. It's easy to say. It's easy to write down, easy to hear from everybody else.
Yeah.
But really behind the scenes, were you punching walls at night on some nights out of frustration?
No. It was stressful, certainly. I was on month-to-month leases in Columbus because I didn't know if my contract was going to go or not. I didn't buy furniture because I didn't want to buy furniture in Columbus and have to move it. So I had like a bed and a kitchen table and a couple of chairs. So like I would sit up I have the chairs still here now, which is funny now that I think about it. Like I set up a chair in front of the TV and a chair the other way, and I would put my feet on the chair, and that's how I would sit.
That was your
like
couch.
That was my couch for like 3 months because I was like, you just don't know what's going to happen. I wasn't going to be, stupid with money, buying a bunch of furniture, furnishing a place, and then have to, you're cut, sorry, and then have to move it all. Like, so I wasn't going to do that until I kind of knew what was happening. But, that little stuff like that will certainly motivate you to make sure that you have a job a month later.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's super interesting. All of our journees, and I'm sure you have more furniture now. You're living a little better now. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I wasn't married yet. I hadn't proposed yet. I had the ring for my wife, but I don't think she would let me live in a place without furniture now, but
no, we typically don't let our husbands do that too often. we like consistency and stability. It's just in all of us as women. You guys are the adventure seekers. We keep your feet a little bit more on ground, So.
Yeah, and bless her heart for choosing the stability of professional athletes. That's not stable. 10-month, 12-month contracts.
Right. I always hear from friends that are married, that are pros is, I say I'm going to have dinner with you at 6:00 and then I'm calling you at 3, canceling because we have film or something changes in the schedule. Sound about right? So.
Definitely. Yep.
So Columbus, you're there. Some big conversations. You go from being the sponge to applying it, and just you're not going to lose. You're going to earn your place, and earn your respect. It sounds like. What happens next?
Well, so I'm kind of the 2 for the first few games. I was the 2 for the end of the preseason. I was a 2 for I think 1 or 2 games into the start of the season, and then Zach gets called to national team duty, which means now starting goalkeeper should be my spot. We're going to DC on the road. And coach calls me in and says, hey, we're going to start the guy who's a 3 because he has more MLS experience than you do. And, my response is, why was I the 2 for this time if you didn't think that I could play that game if something happened? If Zach gets hurt in a game, why was I the 2 if you didn't think that I could do it when it came down to it? And he didn't really have an answer for me, which is fine. He doesn't have to. Like, hey, it's his decision to make. Maybe it's the right one, maybe it's wrong. No one will ever know. But it probably would have been a hard decision for him to make that and to play me anyway.
Right.
Because, hey, this is a guy who's never played an MLS game before. Only preseason games, So, hey, it would have been gutsy for him to make that call. Right. I felt it was the right call at the time, is what it is. Then from then on out, I was pretty much the 3 for the rest of the season. Obviously, little injuries and call ups here and there that lead to the natural jumps up to 2 and 1 or whatever. But I played 1 Open Cup game in June because Zach was injured at the time. John was playing the league games. We had a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, with the Wednesday being an Open Cup. So I got to play that Wednesday Open Cup game. It was Crew's reserves versus Chicago Fire's first team. I think the salary difference was like 10.1 million to 1 million. There's Schweinsteiger's on the field. Nikolic. These are Golden Boot winners and World Cup champions that I'm playing against. And it's, me and my buddy from Penn State and my buddy that signed a homegrown deal. We're playing against these guys. Game ends 2-2. We go to penalties and I don't make a single save. Go 0 for 11. I took the last penalty and got mine saved, and that's how the game ends. And that was hard. It was very hard. It was hard for me to handle. It was, frustrating because that was my one chance And I had a good game up until that point. We got a couple of our reads wrong on where we thought guys would go, and we had some guys that you've never taken a penalty before in your life, but
Right.
go face it, So we had a couple of scouts that we thought might be right, and even if I went the right way, it's like I dive right. I went the right way on Schweinsteiger, but he roofed it, and I got a pinky on it, but I can't push it over the bar because he roofs it. So after that game, I had a conversation with Greg, and he's like, hey, just want to let you know, like you keep training and stuff, but I think if you want to take the next step in your career, you're gonna have to go somewhere and play games. It was basically, we're not going to sign you next year.
Wow.
And go play games. And that was frustrating to hear 6 months to the end of the season, considering it's now the middle of June. But at that point, I got an agent, and he started looking around, and shortly after that, I kind of knew what was going to happen. But there was a long year for sure.
Right. So where did you go after Columbus?
So after Columbus, I signed a deal with El Paso Locomotive. I came here, which is where I am now, for 2 years, and ended up signing another year this last off season. So I'm here for this year. And it was at around this Open Cup time, and going from Columbus, and thought I'd proved myself. Didn't get the chance that I wanted. Had some unfortunate circumstances happen with Open Cup that I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna go to El Paso. I'm gonna go play every single game that I can. I knew I was coming in as the one. I knew I still had to fight and earn it. I'm not.
Right.
I wasn't like, relax now that I'm a one. Like, that's not. No one ever thinks like that. Like, but I knew I had to go prove myself because I had a good pedigree. I was okay. College, got drafted, 2 years in the pros, coming to USL. I'm still a gamble to some people, probably because I had never played a professional game, really. Okay, a few here and there.
Right. But like college, the speed of play is different. Going into pro, going into USL, everything's different.
Mm-hmm. And USL is a very different game than even MLS. Like,
how so?
In MLS, the biggest difference and this is something that Pat told me, he's like, look, in college, in USL, there'll be crosses, and you're expected to come for a lot of them because the service is loopy, whatever, not always in a great spot. In MLS, the service is good.
Right.
Like most crosses and things, if it's not inside your 6, you're probably not coming for it. I mean, yes, there are situations where, okay, if everyone's higher, okay, if it's 40 yards away, but if things are down on the end line, you're probably not coming for a cross. In college, you probably are.
Right.
So, there's a tactical change where you kind of have to realize, all right, I got to let my defenders defend, and I got to sit on my line in MLS a little bit and try to just react to a header if I can get to it. But USL now, it reminds me of college a little bit, but obviously the skill and everything is significantly higher than college, where, I've got to go blow some stuff up sometimes. So, it was a lot of, I had to go out and prove myself I'm now at a brand new club. So this was an expansion club at the time. El Paso had never played a game before. So as a new team, I've never played a game. Some of these guys have played for Coach Mark Lowry before in NASL and back in Jacksonville Armada. So some of those guys have played together before, but I hadn't. But I got to go prove myself again. So it was just another step of, you think you're going forward a little bit, and I got to come back a little, and you go forward a little bit, and you come back a little bit. So that's kind of been the highlight of my career. Of it's always, all right, 2 steps up, 1 step back, 2 steps up, 1 step back. But
right, patience, lots of patience, and never losing the fight. So you were telling me something really cool. You went through a lot of the adversity, and if I remember right from our first conversation, you have played the most games out of any USL keeper. Is that right?
And since the time that I've been in the USL, no, I don't. I've done my own research. I don't think any goalkeeper has played more games than I have.
How many games
in
is
the
that?
2 years? 56.
Wow.
And they're 54, including playoffs. So we had 3 playoff games each year. I was only injured for 2 games, had a little quad issue my first year, missed 2 games. But with playoffs, and I've never lost a starting spot. It's always been mine. And that was my plan is, when I left Columbus, I was like, I need to play every single game. That's what he said. He said, I need to go play games. All right, well, I'm going to get as many as I possibly can and show, okay, here's my body of work. I don't want to be able to show, okay, here's my body of work of 2 games and I've had 2 good games. That's not consistency. That's not anything. I want to go play 60 and you'll see, here's how many I've done. Here's what I'm capable of doing. I want to show that I've been able to do it consistently year in, year out, new defenders, new style. We very much so play, even more our first year, we play with the ball at our feet. I've given up countless goals of us giving the ball away, but I also have countless clips of me finding an 8 and someone who turns, finds a 10, and then we go and score. Just happened last weekend. So, hey, it's up to the coach to determine, what you want to do with your style, but I'm not afraid to make those mistakes. And that's something that I probably would have been my first year in Columbus, where I was kind of a sponge. The second year I was like, you know what, if I make a mistake, it happens, it's over. Hopefully we can still win the game.
What was the fear? What do you think the fear was inside of making a mistake when you're at Columbus? Was it getting cut?
I don't think so. I think it's just expectations of guys expect you to be at this level.
Right.
So if I make a mistake, in my eyes, I'm not at that level.
Right.
So I think that was probably it for me, and the second part is just not being comfortable in me, myself, my confidence, or my play style. I was still learning that play style. So I was kind of afraid to make those mistakes. Right. Now that after 2 years in Columbus and 3 years, this is my 3rd year in El Paso of playing with the ball at your feet all the time, I'm confident in what I'm able to do, what I know I can do, and balls that I can thread and what they can handle. Like, we've got some good 6s here. I know I can jam a ball into him, and I know he's going to be able to knock it out wide, no problem.
Right.
So it takes a significant switch in your brain to go from, if I play that, we might lose it, to, nah, he's got it.
Right.
I could play that. Like, it's the right ball. If it's the right ball, it's the right ball. And I think that was one thing that kind of helped me. Like, hey, maybe we have to deal with it if it's the right ball, but it bounces or he misplays it or something. Hey, we're fine with those mistakes. And that was something that Mark's been really good about, is I have no issues if you have technical errors. I don't want the tactical mistakes where, okay, we should have played this ball, but we lump it instead, and then they go and score.
Right.
Well, rather play our style. Let's beat ourselves. Let's be the best that we can be. If they can beat us, hats off to them. They deserved it.
Right.
But let's make them do it. And I think that's it's taken me a while to get to that point, but once you're there, you feel good no matter what. Like, hey, I know I might miss a pass here or there, but I hold myself to really high standards. So if I don't make a pass or something, then I know it was because I did it, not because someone pressured me or whatever. Like, it's on me, and I'm fine with that now.
Right. Right. So would you say you got that game experience they told you needed?
Probably. Yeah. I think even out of MLS keepers, I don't think anyone else has played. I don't think an American goalkeeper has played more games than I have in the last 2 years.
That's awesome.
And that's with COVID. If it weren't for COVID shutting our season down to like 16 games, I'd be at almost 80 at this point.
Wow. But what do you think's next after this?
I don't know. The hope is always to go back MLS. Hope 2 steps back or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I feel like I just did the 1 step back, go to USL. But now, even if it doesn't happen, I'm happy with how I'm playing. I'm happy with my confidence, and I'm enjoying playing every single game. Like, that's something that, when you go from not playing a game for 2 years to playing every single game week in and week out, it's really fun. And, I'm still growing in myself. Like, I put on a lot of weight this off season with COVID. Good weight.
Yeah.
But,
and now you're COVID 15.
Yeah, I've been lifting hard. I think I ended the season last year at 168, and that was the lightest I'd kind of been as a professional.
Right.
But I was getting used to playing every game, so I can't go lift hard and do that stuff. I was still getting used to playing every single game, week in, week out, and being able to manage the stress and pounding of a 10-month season. But with COVID, I knew the season was going to get pushed back until May. Hit the gym hard. I'm now up to like 185, which is like 17 pounds or something. And it's muscle, and I feel good. And that has helped me so much, obviously to different degrees throughout my career, but college, I went through a big weight strength gain. And that helped me so much just with confidence.
Right.
And now, I kind of felt like I was a little weak and wasn't really able to impose myself like I felt like I should at the end of my last season. And now I'm coming and I'm close to 20 pounds heavier and stronger, and I'm kicking the ball way farther, and I can throw the ball farther, and I feel more like a tank when I come out on crosses or whatever. Like, it's incredible. Those little changes in your body can make you feel so much better about how you play. And
Right.
for a position like goalkeeping that is so mental, to have that little extra confidence is like, throwing 10, 15 pounds on your body. Like, if you can feel like that you're stronger, you're better, whatever it is, your play is going to go through the roof.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. I think it's, our journey, I'm sure, it sounded like in your mind you had one expectation and it went a different route. But I love how you said that the way I would phrase it is you found joy in the process. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but so many people along the way have told me, Amanda, you need to enjoy the process. And at different lows, I'm like, what are you talking about? How do you enjoy?
How is this enjoyable? Yeah.
Right. I'm riding the bench. I'm not getting playing time. I need playing time to apply what I'm learning. Like how do I enjoy it? How do I enjoy it? And the question I want to ask you, you said you're enjoying it now. You're playing, and you're okay with where you're at, and you'll embrace wherever you go if you move up or you move down. I think that's great. How did you enjoy the process when things weren't going great? I know we've talked about it a couple of different angles, but how did you enjoy it? How did you get through those days?
Yeah, I think, there's, when things aren't going great, the things that I think of are Columbus. I'm not playing games.
Right.
And the way you enjoy that is I'm playing, one, under one of the best goalkeepers in the United States.
Right.
Two, I'm a professional soccer player. I get paid to go play a game.
Right.
That is it sounds dumb. It sounds simple.
It's a job.
A simplistic way to look at it, but that is my job. I joked with my wife every day. Hey, going to work, honey. Like,
right.
I wanted to go buy a briefcase just to walk into the office. Like,
you so should.
If you can't laugh at that, like, if you can't enjoy little moments like that, then, you're just kind of wasting your time. If you're thinking everything is so serious, like I need to improve so much, you got to have a laugh every now and again.
Right.
And and another down I would consider is my first season at El Paso. Early on, we were not very good. We were struggling. We gave up a lot of goals. We made some mistakes. I made a couple mistakes.
Right.
I had one of the most unlucky. I was on ESPN not top 10 because I came out for a ball. Yeah, I didn't even tell you this. I came out. We're playing Phoenix my first year, 2019. It's at home. This is like our third home game, maybe. And so I'm still trying to prove myself. I'm getting used to having fans. Fans are very different in professional sports. If you make a mistake, they will let you know. They will tweet at you. You will hear everything. So I come running out. There's a long ball at the top. It's the right decision for me to come out. And my foot completely just slips. I go straight on my butt. I try to head it, but it skips past. Guy comes in for a tap in. It's 1-0, 20 minutes into the game or something like that.
Oh
and
my God.
I had a fine game after that, but it ends 2-0. And that hit me hard because I was like, it's nothing that I could have done wrong. I just slipped.
Right.
If a forward even is on goal and he slips, everyone's like, oh, that's so terrible. Okay, you forget about it. But when it's on your end and you're the goalkeeper and you're the last one and it looks like what would be a routine play, I just eat it. I was on not top 10. I think I was like number 7. I was a little disappointed it wasn't higher. Now that I look back at it, probably should have been 1 or 2.
Come on,
but,
like ESPN, I would have emailed and been like, hey, could you at least have made me number 1 if you're going to call me out like
I think
that?
it was at least worthy of like top 5. But
top
whatever.
5. Number 7. Did they send you like a little plaque or something?
No, I wish so. I would hang it at my office for sure.
Well,
but that was, hey, I had a couple mistakes before that. We hadn't, I think we won 1 game before that point. So, and Phoenix was one of the best. That was the year that they set the record for highest points in a season. So,
right.
I mean, it wasn't like, it was a good chance for us to beat a good team. And I have a terrible, unlucky mistake happen. But, shortly after that, then I did have a really good stretch. So it took me maybe a game or 2 to kind of forget that. I was like soft grounds, tying them, like clamping everything down for maybe like 2 games until that kind of mistake worked its way out. But shortly after that, I had a couple of good games. I went on a kind of ridiculous penalty saving spree. I think we faced like 6 in 2 months, and I saved 4 of them and got my hand on a 5th. Like, I needed a little boost like that to get me through that. But there were people tweeting at me and stuff like, play the next guy, play the other guy, and that's hard to read and to deal with. But it was never like, and I think this is something I might have mentioned this to you before, but around that time, I heard this quote that said, "Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't take criticism from."
Say that one more time for our listeners.
Let me make sure I got that right. It was don't accept criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
Don't accept criticism from somebody you would not take advice from.
If I wouldn't go to Joe over on the street and ask, hey, what am I doing wrong as a goalkeeper? Why are you listening to him if he's going to say something negative about you?
Right.
If you're not going to actually value their opinion, if they're going to give you advice, don't value their opinion when they want to say something negative about you. And that is a lot easier said than done, certainly. But that did help me kind of switch and turn off. I didn't turn off of social media. Like, I didn't just delete everything, because that would almost be worse, because then you're like, well, I don't even know what's being said now, but it was a good way for me to kind of just, move on. So that helped, definitely.
That's so good. I think there's a lot of that. I mean, in all different aspects and all different levels of the game, everybody has an opinion, and it's not right. And
even you look at EPL, how often commentators are saying, well, you should never get beat near post. Well, that's a lie. How realistic? It was a penalty miss, not a save. Like, no, it's a save. You make a save. Right. It's not a bad penalty. Like, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but no. Commentators and everyone, you never know. Like, no one really knows what you're doing unless you've actually played the position. So
yeah. And I always heard this, that if people aren't talking bad about you, or talking a lot of good about you, or just giving their opinion a lot, typically you're not making a difference in the world, or putting yourself out there to potentially be successful. The fact that you're a starter, the fact that you're already out there, the fact that you're doing something says a lot. That's not easy. I remember when I started, before I started the podcast, I'd wanted to do a podcast for a long time. And I was like, doubted myself. I have doubted myself at every single level. I call Bushy my big brother and goalkeeping, and he'll be the first to tell you that I've had many phone calls with him. Like, am I good enough in this area? Can I do this level? And then I call him 3 months later. I'm like, why did I say that? Or even 6 months later, or even 2 years later, I'm like, why did I doubt myself? Like, and it's just, and he'll say it, he's like, we all went through that at some period in our career, in our life. And the difference between what happens when we have that conversation is you making the decision, like you said earlier, to believe that you belong or believe that you're good enough. And you just believe it and you go out and you act on it and you just keep acting on it. And, sometimes we surprise ourselves by what happens, I mean, for me, it was, I, with the podcast, I told you this is there were a lot of people that had opinions on how I coached and whether or not I was a good goalkeeping coach based on a playing career that I couldn't control, that ended early, that I couldn't control. Right. And I said, okay, well, fine. I'm going to let people in the comfort of their home and the privacy, and I can't see if they're listening or whatever. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to let them get to know me in their own private, privacy. And those that do, I'll let them develop an opinion of who I am. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep doing what I see myself doing. And the rest is history, and it's paid off. And it's been, led to a lot of cool conversations. But I think more than anything, it's, aside from the people that want to criticize that and not give you a solution, right? Not going to try to trump that quote you just gave, because that's, I mean, those are those people. I wouldn't take advice from them either if they're so quick to make an opinion, have an opinion of me. But I think more than anything, it's you're trying and you're failing and you're learning, and the only way you can succeed is by failing forward. There's a difference between giving up and just saying I can't do it, and saying, no, there's more in here. There's more, something good's going to happen. Something great's going to happen. And I'm going to keep searching for it. And I'm going to have fun along the way,
Absolutely.
Right. And you never know who's watching you right now.
Yeah.
And it could be that number 3 that when you move on and go back to the MLS, or maybe you retire, that you inspired that number 3 to become better than you or anything else. And that's what mentorship is. Right. And
it could have been easy for me to, it could have been so easy for me to, you talked about giving up or falling forward. It could have been so easy for me to say, you know what, 2 USL tryouts, MLS tryout, didn't work out, I'm done. I could have waited when the US national team coach says, can't play in MLS, you got to go play games. Could have retired after 2 years in MLS.
Right.
If anything, I could probably go make more money being an accountant.
That is true.
But I'm not done with this sport yet. I'm not done with this game. I have too much passion. I'm too competitive to just not bet on myself, not gamble, not try. Now, obviously I'm not done yet, but if I would have given up after that, I don't think I'd be the same person.
What
I needed to go.
What changed between Columbus and being with El Paso? What changed in you personally?
Well, I just got married right after I finished my 2 years in Columbus. So I wanted to go prove, all right, you know what? I'm going to start my family. We're going to go, and I can go be successful if I want to do this.
Right.
And I think that was a big driving factor. We got married, went on a honeymoon. We came back, we packed up the house in 2 days, and we drove to El Paso.
Wow.
So it was such a drastic, engaged, living together, MLS to
it's a lot of life
USL,
happening.
Like different city across the country, never been to the desert, never been down in this heat before. Like
never lived together in the heat.
Yeah.
Hope the air conditioner works.
Yeah, it did. It's broken a couple of times, and those have been some miserable nights,
but you survived and you learned.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We fell forward through those nights.
Right. Literally.
Yeah.
So you looked inward and you became greater, and you realized you were better than you thought.
You have to go try it. If you don't, it's the most cliche thing you can say is you have to try, you have to, fail. But if you don't, you won't know if you can or not. And if you can't, hey, no problem.
Right.
Like it's like you have to, there's certainly a line between betting on yourself and knowing what you're capable of and being, so over the top. I'm better than Zach Steffen. I'm not. Like, I can be realistic. You have to be realistic with what you can do, but you also have to be able to bet on yourself and be confident enough to say, you know what, I think I can do that, and give it a shot, because that You know, I think just being willing to put yourself out there and do it is sometimes the hardest part, because once you do,
People are
now the
watching.
rest is easy. Now that,
Yeah.
once I put myself out there, go somewhere else to be the starter. Like, once you do that, now you're just back doing everything what you're supposed to do. Like, all right, professional soccer player, making decisions, be clean every game.
Right.
That's what I've been doing for, 3 years. But if you don't take the step to put yourself in a situation, you're just going to stagnate and plateau and eventually fall off.
Right.
And there's nothing else to do at that point.
You made me think of two lessons that I learned, but I know I'm hearing you say you learned as well. And the first one is have no regrets. I don't want 10, 15 years from now to be sitting in an office, or let's fast forward 50, 60, 70 years from now on my deathbed and look back and go, what if?
Yep.
What if I just leaned in more? What if I tried it? What if I had more of an open mind? What if I just kept going? Who would I have become? How different would my life be? And then I think the second thing is that fear is more expensive than faith. What does faith cost you? Nothing, but trying and keeping a positive attitude. Fear costs you everything. Fear can keep you from everything. And all it is an invisible wall. It's a mirage that keeps you from where you are now in your dream.
Yeah. And more often than not, it's self-inflicted.
Yeah. 100%. Have you heard of the story of a pikefish, of the experiment that a university did with a pikefish, and they put a pikefish in minnows and some plexiglass and a long, okay.
No.
I remember hearing this when I was 20 years old, and it goes right in line with this. And I think I know you'll love this. Okay, Logan. So they took a huge aquarium, stuck a pikefish in it. One of those little, you know what I'm talking about? The fish with the long nose, right?
Really long. Yeah.
So they drop a bunch of minnows in it and they eat them up. Then they come back the next day, they drop it in. They're training it, right? Eats up all the minnows. The next day, after that, the third day, they drop clear plexiglass down the middle. Pikefish is on one side, they drop the minnows on the other. And they keep dropping more and more minnows. The pikefish keeps ramming the plexiglass over and over and over again until its nose bleeds. 7 days later, they remove the plexiglass. The minnows can free roam all around the pikefish. The pikefish gave up, went belly up and died, all while the minnows swam all around its face. And they said what they found from the experiment is that when people experience failure over and over and over and over again, they begin to expect that they're going to fail again instead of trying again. But had they just tried one more time,
would have been fun. Wow. That's a great story. I like that.
Yeah.
Or study analysis.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all like that. And listening to your story here, what if you gave up when Columbus said, I think you need more games? Well, screw this. I'm just going to go finish my CPA hours and start doing, my own stuff instead of TurboTax for my teammates. You probably could make 6 figures at it easy and enjoy a very comfortable life and enjoy vacation after tax season probably. And do your buddy's taxes from Columbus and other places, right? Good little network marketing marketing in there to network among those guys. So, but what if you gave in one more time?
Yeah. And your point about the no regrets and death, but that made me think of another thing I heard recently was everyone has 2 lives, and your second one starts when you find out you only have one.
Ooh.
So when you realize, hey, I only have one life, that's when your new life really starts. When, all right, no more regrets, no more issues. When you think you're in this box, I've got all this time. When you find out you don't, it's the whole thing with, people that have terminal diseases or whatever. Like when you find out you don't have that much time, what have you been missing? What haven't you been doing that you want to do? People start living, and that's, I don't want to say that, I'm fortunate that I don't have any issues like that. and I haven't had to deal with anything like that. But I do believe that I have started in the last year, 2 years, 3 years that, you know what, I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm not going to have any regrets in my career or choices I've made. It is what it is. It's in the past now. I can only build on new experiences from here on out. So if I spend my entire career in the USL, I'm happy with that, because I feel that I'm giving everything that I have. If I am fortunate enough to go back to MLS, I'm going to put everything I have into that basket. So,
And at the end of the day, we're all getting paid to do what we love, our childhood passion. How many people right now can say that they're getting paid to play the game they loved since they were 5 years old, 10 years old, 12
and
years
even
old?
if you're not a pro, like even college, if you get scholarships,
right,
those that is money. Like you know, there's a whole bunch of drama about athletes saying they're not getting paid to do it. A degree is a form of payment.
right.
That's a certain threshold that you may not have had access to that can help you start the next part of your life. So, you know, there are multiple ways to get paid playing this sport. You just have to find it and realize that it is a payment and use it.
Right. It's so true. This has been awesome, and I cannot wait to share this with everybody, Logan. And as we wrap up here, you know, bet on you, because you're good enough. Bet on you. You only have one life. You know,
Absolutely.
keep going, because there's more in you. What's your best advice that you could give parents, players, anybody who is anywhere in life, whether it's business, coaching, whatever? They feel stuck. They feel overlooked. They feel like it's just one negative thing after another. What is one thing you can leave them with to just help them get through today a little bit better and this week?
The low points will end, and you're only going to, the lower the lows, the higher the highs that you can have. If you don't have any lows, you're never really going to have much highs. If you know, I'm a math numbers guy. If your days are always right around here, boring, nothing's drastic. If you don't have the lows, you'll never feel the excitement, the energy, the rush of the super high highs. So it's going to end. Your misery, whatever, the struggles are going to stop, and hopefully you've learned something from it that you can use to push yourself forward and find those higher highs.
That's good. Thank you. I appreciate it, Logan.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a great talk.
You're welcome. Can't agree more.